right, welcome to Boring Reviews. Jody here.
Nick, and we are going to be giving you our review for the much acclaimed, much requested, as you can see, PK, which, do you remember what it stands for?
Oh, no, I didn't realize it stood for something.
They kept saying it on the subtitles, Tipsy. Now, that's not really his name, but Tipsy, they always thought he was drunk or something because of the way he was acting and the way he was looking.
I didn't realize PK went tipsy. I never picked up on that.
I did get a head start on that because someone in the comment for our trailer reaction had mentioned that it means tipsy.
Okay.
Because I think I was confused then. But PK is a comedy.
Yeah, but with a very serious undertone.
Right. So this is the second comedy that I've seen is in the Indian genre, all based on your request. Thank you very much. The first being Three Idiots. And I'm sure there are straight out comedies like the Go Go Gone reaction that we had. That seems like maybe at least 80% comedy. But this is one of those comedies that's not just one thing. And typically in American films, a comedy is a comedy, and it has kind of a silly story, but it's okay because it's so funny, or sometimes it's not funny at all, and it was just a waste of time.
It's ridiculous, yes.
But it doesn't really get too deep. This movie, just like Three Idiots, holy cow, it's so much more than just a comedy. And I would call it, very dramatic at times. So many other things. How would you describe PK besides comedy?
Again, it was inspirational. The underlining issue of religion and the wrong number and the fact that we as humans put labels on other people is very, very inspiring.
And both of us, we are both very religious, very spiritual, if you will, people in Christianity. And I know we all got our different religions. We're not going to go into religion right now, just what was in the movie. And so for us, watching a movie where, and I wouldn't call it attacking religion, but where it was questioning the different religions out there and maybe why they have certain customs or certain this or that. And, we're really getting into it right now, but let's just get into it. So PK, Tipsy, he is from another planet.
Yes.
Okay, you learn that in the first 2 seconds of the movie. It's a spoiler if you didn't know, but it's not when you watch the movie.
No.
They just don't mention it in the trailer at all.
Not at all, but it starts right off in the movie.
Oh, yeah, right away.
Drop down.
He's in his birthday suit.
Yes.
And he's got his little remote, which can contact his spaceship.
His holy bead.
And it's interesting because as you get into it, you find out that his species, his people on his planet, they very similar to human beings, some differences, but they discovered that there was other life out there. And we've seen so many movies in the world based on that concept, and we have NASA, for crying out loud, and other organizations around the world dedicated to trying to find other life because that would be fascinating. And so it's interesting on the other side where they are also fascinated in learning about us. So he came to Earth on like a short, vacation trip to see what it was all about, right?
Wasn't like a little mission too, or no?
I'm not sure if it was I'm sure it was some kind of mission.
He kept talking about the skin, about whether the skin was the same or not. Didn't he?
Well, there was one part in the movie where he was asked by the girl that we'll get to in a second, why are you naked? And he's like, well, a bird is in its own skin.
Yeah.
And would it be weird for that bird to be wearing a hat and some clothes or whatever?
I'm confused with that.
I'm not sure if there was a specific mission. I cannot remember. But anyways, he gets stranded on Earth. Someone steals his remote. He has no way of calling a ship. And he's stranded and he has to adapt and he has to live. And, it was really, really interesting in that vein of the movie. You're a fish out of water, almost literally, right? And how would you survive? And so that was a really, really interesting part of the plot, but that's not the only part of the plot.
Well, and that was the funny parts, too.
Oh, yeah.
He mixes up the clothes, and so he's got the ladies' bottoms and the man's top.
And he was smart enough to realize, this ain't right. Because he just look around and observe.
Well, I loved the dancing cars. He keeps getting clothes out of dancing cars.
The dancing cars. Free clothes. You just pick it up and sometimes there's money inside.
And not just that, but then with the money, the faces. He went and took all the ads, and he was trying to pay for
Gandhi's
food
face on different things.
Face.
All the posters, everything, stickers, and they're like, why do I want this junk? I'll just take that one, please.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it's really interesting, but the great thing about this movie, in my opinion, is the direction. Raj Kumar Hirani is the director of this movie, and I love his direction because, yes, it goes into different subplots in the movie, but it doesn't spend too long on one subplot, and it doesn't spend too little on one subplot. And so we definitely get, like you said, the entertainment of him being that fish out of water. And I love the direction of this movie for many different reasons, but especially for that.
Yeah, that was nice. I really liked, to go back to the religion part, just because I think that they hit the nail on the head so well. They put such a good point on the fact that we're here for each other, and we're meant to help each other. And not so much attacking other religions, but he keeps mentioning labels. Like, where's your label? And that's where you get some of the comedy. Like, he's looking for labels. He's picking up the baby and
where's your Muslim label at?
The baby. Oh my gosh! And then he's there talking to the holy man, his holiness. And he's like, here, let me just show you. There's no label. And he's like stripping off his clothes.
And you see something. He's like, interesting.
But I love that. I love that he brought all the leaders from different religions. He switched up their clothes, and he showed how we make such rash judgments based on attire and based on religion. And we are the ones who cause the fights. And these are fights that have been wars that have been caused between countries for thousands of years.
Well, before we get into that, let's just back up a little bit, just in case you haven't seen the movie. All right, so he loses the remote. It gets stolen, right? He loses the remote, and he's trying to get it back. And so people are telling him that, God can do anything. He says, great, let me figure out who this guy is. Let me give him a call. And he realizes that there's different ways of going about it. He buys a statue. He asks God for food, and food goes in his hand because he just happens to be like in a soup kitchen area. And he says, that worked. Now give me my remote. And it doesn't work out. Long story short, His Holiness, a religious leader in a fictional, religion, I want to say it wasn't really a specific one. But we have those in America as well. I have these evangelists, they call them on TV, and they get a lot of this. But His Holiness had gotten the remote and was calling it the bead of God or something in the snow that he had found. And, he talks to God, and this helps him, and blah, blah, blah. And so he's trying to get the remote back or the bead of God back, and he gets some help in the process. And that's where he starts to get these debates with the religious leader, because he's honestly trying to figure out how he can get back home. And so he's saying, you guys are praying to God, but he's not listening to you. Maybe you have a wrong number. And so the debates, like you're saying, I thought was the best parts of the movie, because the writers of this film came up with these great ways to answer some questions that, if you've been in different churches, they kind of get you with a certain thing that you can't answer. Or you want to ask him something, but you don't know how to ask it. And he comes up with these great examples and these great explanations, like the different religions, to do that. And so what happened with the different religions things? That was a really cool part.
That was cool. Well, His Holiness had said which religion each man was a part of based on their attire and their facial hair,
turbans,
everything. And so PK actually shows him that he had all the people change outfits. And so they were actually members of different religions. And then one guy, he came up and he said, okay, so he looks like he's part of this religion, but then he takes off his turban and he's part of this religion. And then he takes off his beard and his mustache, he's part of this religion. And so it was really cool how he broke it down. And I love how PK had said, His Holiness had told this man whose wife was paralyzed and wanted help to go on like this 8-day trek and go up to the Himalayas and pray, and it will
go to that temple.
Yes, and I'll answer. And PK said, why take all this time away from your wife to go ask God what you can ask him right here? Why not spend that time with your wife and appreciate her and take care of her?
And why would God tell you to make this long trip to go to that church, because his church over there is more important than his church here? And
I love that.
It was great.
I feel like that's something that, as an entire world of people, that we need to focus on more, is being there for other people and giving more service. I think that we're selfish. Just in general, people are selfish. We want to do what we want to do, and I like that message.
Well, and that was the thing. Again, I'm watching this, and I'm assuming India has a lot of religions, and so I'm watching this, and I know it's a very popular movie, so I'm thinking, this must have offended a lot of Indian people with all this attack on religion. But it's not attack on religion. I looked at it, being a religious person, I was not offended. I looked at it in a way where, if you have certain people that are in religion, the profession of religion just to get gain, just to make money off you, just to get your donations because they're going to pray to God and help you out, I feel like that's wrong. But if you have faith in something and you feel like you have faith in the right thing and yet you're doing good things, then God bless you, so to speak. Then go for it. And PK, again, he was an alien from a different planet, so he just did not really understand what was happening, and he just looked at it from a completely logical point of view. And when it comes to religion, it's not always logical. You have scripture stories or you have experiences where you can't make sense of what happened, but you know what happened, and there's no other way to explain it. And with this movie, again, I feel like it was looking at it from the logical point of view, but it was making some really good points to where we don't need to separate ourselves from other people because they wear a turban and I don't. Yeah. Deep down inside, they have their beliefs and they are still, good people who have different beliefs. But not to get too into that, I agree. That was a really, really, really interesting part of the movie. That's what really hooked me in, was getting to that whole part of the story. And
it paralleled really well with the relationship with Jagu and Safraz, if I'm saying that right.
Safraz, yeah.
Something. We noticed when we put up a Pakistani film on here that there were some comments, and it seemed to be like there's just a little bit of tension between maybe
a divide between India and Pakistan.
Yeah. And you see that in the film. He's from Pakistan, she's from India, and they fall in love in the beginning, and right away the parents are like, nope, don't even think about it. And there's this beautiful miscommunication, because at the beginning, like, it's heartbreaking. Like, I'm like, really, that's how we're gonna end this?
And if you haven't seen it, we won't spoil that for you, because that is, tears to your eyes. That's a powerful end of the movie, that miscommunication when it gets
it's
figured
just
out.
It was beautiful, but the way they solve it ties in with the religion of not labeling, not putting prejudice out there, but accepting the person for who they are. And I love how the dad comes around, and Jagu's dad comes around, and he accepts a lot because he's against PK, he's against this whole wrong number, he's against Pakistani, her boyfriend from Pakistan, and it just makes this full circle.
Yeah, and
I love it.
It makes it interesting for the character, but in the real world, I can only imagine, and not just in Indian culture, everyone has culture. It's not just certain countries and this or that. Everyone has culture. Everyone has traditions in their own families. Everyone has ideals that they hold on to. Hopefully they're positive ideals, but they have ideals that they hold on to, and morals and standards and all that kind of stuff. We all have that no matter where you're from.
Yeah.
And in this case, he did not want his daughter to marry a Pakistani. And I can only imagine, because of deep down, not because of prejudice, in at least the movie and this character, but deep down because of the struggle that they were going to have in that relationship. You go back to Romeo and Juliet and Capulet and Montague. It's just not going to work out, even though Romeo and Juliet were made for each other. And so you kind of have that in this, but you get to see them when they're apart for most of the movie, and you realize that they're not fully happy. Now, Jagu goes on, she has a career, and she's able to be happy, but when she opens up to that part of her life where, tragedy happens, so to speak, and I don't want to get into it, then you see that it still hurts. And so when it comes to something like that, what is that serving, that fear of this relationship where we have two cultures that don't always get along? And it's a beautiful message. And again, here comes PK, someone from the outside in who wasn't born in that culture, who is looking at it in a logical way. And he has this ability to hold hands, and he's to be able to read your mind, and he can learn your language and learn about you telepathically. And I thought it was awesome how they utilized that the few times they needed to help the story go, to reveal information, debate with His Holiness, revelations with Jagu, different, and it's even funny too when he's trying to hold people's hands.
That's what I was laughing about, because like the lady on the bus, and he tries to hold her hand, they get all mad because he's holding the hands of a lady who's a widow who's wearing white.
Yes.
So then he goes up to another lady, and
he goes up to the bride, and he says, "I'm so sorry your husband died." What? My husband died? I haven't got married yet. No, you idiot! I'm wearing white because I'm getting married. We wear white. We wear black if it's a widow. God. And then he sees these black hooded people coming by. "Oh, I'm so sorry that your husbands and your spouses died." We're not, our husbands and spouses aren't dying. This is our religion that we're wearing, or whatever they were. It was hilarious. But it shows you again that, man, it's got to be tough for him.
And that's the thing. I don't mean to laugh like the different outfits, just his confusion and trying to hold people's hands, and how it is different in different cultures too. Because if you come to America and you go and hold somebody's hand, if you're a stranger, they might think it's a little odd, but people do that all the time. I mean, I'll be in the grocery store and a lady might come, usually elderly, and just hold my hand and be like, oh, look at you. Like, you're just so sweet.
But at the same time,
kids.
there's a time and place for that.
Yes.
If I was a man going up to a woman I don't know and say, are you doing okay? Do you need help finding the rice or something?
Yes.
Then it's not going to end pretty 99% of the time.
That's true. You're right.
So you got to read the situation. Again, someone like PK doesn't have that experience. Now, at the same time, he picks up things rather quickly. And let's talk about Amir Khan for a second. He was awesome, as usual. This guy is an amazing actor. My introduction to him was Dungal, and he's a very serious, very stoic character. And then I watched him in Three Idiots, and now I've watched him in PK, and holy cow, this guy's got range. He never looks like he's older than 30 or so, and I think he was 40 in PK.
Oh.
He's in amazing shape. PK came out, I think, in 2014. Dungal came out in 2016. So you're talking 2 years after that movie, he put on all those pounds for Dungal. I mean, this guy is unbelievable, but his acting skills, he can get to that teary-eyed, vulnerable moment in an instant. And when PK starts to have feelings with Jagu, you really see those abilities come in. Yeah. But I feel like the hardest thing for an actor is to put yourself out there and to make yourself look very, very vulnerable, very silly, maybe not your most attractive state, but be able to still be in the character. And he, like so many actors and actresses, is able to do that. I really was impressed with the actress that played Jagu, Anushka Sharma. She was fantastic. For me, as a viewer, right? Not as a man, as a viewer, I fell in love with her instantly. She had a great positivity, a great type of energy to her, where she was just a fun character. She was charismatic. She was likable. And I just really, really enjoyed her character. I have not seen her in any other movies I've seen so far. She was a great actress. I hope to see her in others that she's possibly in. But everyone in this movie, even His Holiness, who you just gotta hate, they all did a great job. The director, again, did a fantastic job of directing this story, of putting together this story from what the screenwriters had for him. The actors did a great job, and we get a story that I enjoy because I could not tell you what was going to happen next. Yeah. Maybe at the very, very end, the ultimate resolution, once I had 9 out of the 10 clues to the puzzle, okay, this is what's going to happen. But for the most part, I had no idea, and I love movies that do that. Not too many American movies these days can surprise me or can, not trick me, but just I have no idea where we're going, but I'm in for the ride.
And one last thing that you just reminded me of is the moment that took me by surprise that I was not expecting is when PK's friend comes off of the train with the thief.
Oh.
And the attack.
That was quite a transition.
It was horrific. But it was such a humbling moment to realize that on this earth we have so many things in common. We all share love. We all share the idea of having some belief, even if it means you don't believe in a God, but wanting to have that acceptance, and PK's coming to earth and wanting to have friends and to fit in, but that we all go through trials. We all have these problems, and that these attacks happen everywhere. I think too often we think that we focus our attention on the fact that these terrorist attacks are happening maybe just in Europe or just in the United States, but they're all over. And it's scary and it's sad, but I think that this was it was just, this movie hit so many serious topics that just bring out this, what's the word? I don't even know, like this just gratitude of the overall message. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you want to watch a movie and you want to feel good about what you have and why you have it. And no one's life is perfect.
Yeah.
No one goes without problems. No one has the perfect family or the perfect group of friends. But again, this movie, in not the way that I would think about telling the story, told a beautiful story. It was a very enjoyable movie. It was very funny at times. It was very surprising at times. It was, for me, I was being a huge supporter of religion and of faith, I should say. Not really religion, but faith. This really had some great points and some great questions without being disrespectful. And it was just awesome. I love this movie. Thank you so much The trailer did nothing for me. I did not want to watch at all. I was ready to throw away that movie and not even have a chance at it. But you, the viewers, you kept commenting, no, you got to check it out. The trailer's garbage. Thank you for that request. We both loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I'm assuming she loved it too.
I did too. Let's end this with a grade.
All right. So I'm going to give PK... I mean, it's tough to grade this movie because it is so unique and so different, but also so enjoyable. And I know I'm missing some stuff I want to talk about this movie, but it's okay. But it's all good. I'm going to give this movie an A-. Why an A-? It's still a great grade. An A- mainly because as great as it was that first time, I love movies that I can watch again and again. And I don't see myself watching this again and again because there's just so many surprises that I'm assuming the second time through, it's not going to be as surprising. But you never know when I'm feeling like getting some more PK, so maybe I will, but an A-.
All right. I was thinking of, it's hard for me because I'm a little bit biased when I judge movies because I'm totally a romantic person. So I'd probably say B+ because I would want a little bit more romance and maybe some resolution for PK a little bit. So we're going to end this review just like PK ended the movie.
Well, before that, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video. Check out the Patreon information, and thank you so much.
And follow our Instagram account because I'm taking over it, and we're going to have some sneak peeks to the background scene of what goes on while we film. But anyway, at the end of PK, they come back to research on Earth the distinction between human thoughts to our speech, because it's true. We don't always say what we think. So, we hope that you guys tell us what you think in a very respectful way, and we'll see you next time.
Adios. Boy Reviews!